all, my name is Rage, and welcome to my list of top 10 people I'm going to kill in 2013. Alright, starting at number 10, Wait, what's that? This is the top 10 games video. This is the games video, not the hit list is a different video. Oh, shit. But I told them it was... So this is the... You sure this is the games, not the kill list? That's a different video. Okay. Oh, no, I got you. Yeah, it's fine. I know, it's fine, okay. So this is my top 10 games of 2013, everybody. Any and all mention to a hit list will be disregarded and will not stand up in court. So I must remind you guys that this is entirely my opinion. You, of course, will have your entirely different opinion based on what you've played. This is based on what I've played, how much I've enjoyed it, etc, etc. You know the drill. There'll be some honourable mentions beforehand, then it will go down 10 through 1, explaining my choices, and it will be all good. So without further ado, let me start with my honourable mentions.
These mentions are most honourable.
Alright guys, here we go. Honourable mention time starts now. Firstly though, I should mention how I actually quantify games. I go on 3 categories. Number 1, how much time I spend playing them. Number 2, how much enjoyment I get per time. And number 3, that wow factor. So for example, if I played a game for 5 hours and loved every second of it, but then played a game for 100 hours and it was just kind of good the entire way, the 5-hour one I would consider to be the superior piece of entertainment. So now that you know how I do things, let's get to it. I'm just going to rattle off the honorable mentions. I don't want to get too in-depth with them because I'll do that for my actual top 10 list, but these are still all games that I feel worthy of mentioning. They just didn't make it onto my list for personal taste, if you get me. Alright then, let us begin. First up, we got BioShock Infinite. Now, the story in this game, no one can argue, fantastic story, but at the end of the day, it's a game still. You don't play a game for the story. Well, you can do, obviously, but a game is an interactive piece of entertainment. It's an interactive medium. You are doing things within the game world, and that is what makes games so good and so unique when compared to films and things. And BioShock Infinite had a fantastic story, don't get me wrong. I would still recommend someone play it for the story, but the actual gameplay, the game part of it, the gunplay was meh at best. The mechanics, the whole consistent being thrown stuff, I could make a whole video discussing BioShock Infinite and why the hype around it just is not entirely correct, really. The game elements, the gameplay is just average. The story elevates it into fantastic, but the actual gameplay, I can't get past it. It's the type of game that I would play on easy just so I can enjoy the story faster, because the game just... the shooting is a task. It's dull, it's like work, so you can enjoy work for the next bit of story by shooting these guys. That's how I view BioShock Infinite, and that severely dampened my enjoyment of it. That's why it's just an honorable mention and not actually on the list. Good. That's the longest I'll talk about an honorable mention, because I really wanted a platform where I could talk about that. I've never had an opportunity before, so that's where it is. Good. Next up, we got Age of Empires 2 HD Edition. What can I say? My favourite childhood strategy game. Well, probably joint favourite with Age of Empires 1. Got a HD re-release this year. I do not need to explain that any further. If you've not played an Age of Empires game, do yourself a solid and play them. Next up, we have Metro Last Light, by far the closest game on this honourable mentions list that actually nearly made the actual list. A lot of actuallys in that sentence, but it's all good. I love the first Metro 23, a very competent shooter with a very competent storyline, and I loved the second one as well. There is not more that needs to be said. If you like shooters, play it. It's really immersive. It's quite fairly open, not as open in the second one, but still a very, very good experience. Next up, we have Stanley Parable. I love this non-game, I should say. At times unnerving, at times scary. It's definitely my favourite indie game of the year. It's something about it. It's an experience that everyone should have. I like it. It's really hard to describe the Stanley Parable. It's just, you need to play it for yourself. It's just good. Next up, we have Outlast, a horror game that I actually enjoyed and felt compelled to play. I liked this. Well, the story was a bit cliche, but I still liked it. The mechanics were new and innovative. The graphic style was great. It was actually scary, heart-pounding. There was a few jump scares, yeah, but there was a lot of atmosphere, scariness. It was good. The camera mechanics, all good. Much better than Amnesia 2, in my opinion. Definitely deserved to do better than Amnesia 2. Amnesia 2 was a big step down from Amnesia 1, and definitely beaten by Outlast this year. Alright, next up we have The Wolf Among Us, Telltale story game. Loved it. What more could I say? I don't need to explain why this is here. And then, finally, on the honorable mentions, this is going to be a weird one, Attack on Titan game. Yes, a game made by one person, a Unity browser game based on an anime manga series. And it's so much fun. You don't need to be a fan of the anime or the manga to enjoy it. It's just a really good action combat game to play with friends when you're chilled out, and it's fantastic. So yes, they are my honorable mentions, ladies and gentlemen, which means it's now time for the list itself. As always, I would put a challenge to you guys to try and guess what is going to be on my top 10 list, and in what order. So yes, without further ado, let us begin with... I wonder what number it's going to be. What's it going to be? Oh, it's a 10! It's a 10! Who'd have thought it? It's a 10! Speedrunners! Yes, indeed. You should not be surprised that this is here, guys. I absolutely love this game. If I had to describe it in one word, it would be fun. Completely, utterly good, clean fun. You, three friends, a few rounds of speedrunners, you are in for a good time. It's a very difficult game to get mad at. There's no calling bullshit. Even if you win or lose, you enjoy the experience, the conversations you can have, the situations, screwing each other over, or helping someone get ahead, the little banter backwards and forth, the situations you can get into. It's just fun. I don't care how many times I describe this game as fun, because if any game this year represents just fun, well, Speedrunners would be a major contender. Yes, indeed. The weapons are all quirky, the characters are full of charm, despite them never speaking. You get attached to them, hothead, flamey guy for life. The whole grappling round, the mechanics while running, how everything works, the speed boost, and it's just not even a fully released game yet. It's really, really remarkable how just engaging, enjoyable, and just sound this game is. The controls work really well, it feels smooth. There is very rarely a moment where you're like, the game just screwed me over. It does happen, but that's to be expected. It's not fully released yet. And yeah, what more can I say about it? It really is just fun. I don't care how many times I describe it as that, because it really is such a fun game. Yes, indeed. I really don't have anything else to say about Speedrunners, so without further ado, let's move on to 10 minus 1 equals set 9. It's 9. It's 9, I knew that. Game Dev Tycoon. Yes, indeed. One of my all-time favorite series to make. I absolutely love Tycoon games, and one about gaming. What more could I ask for? Ever since I was little and I played a game called Pizza Tycoon, where you run your own pizza restaurant and just... I don't know what I was thinking. I'm just there, this little kid like, yeah, I'm making pizza for everyone, doing so well, I've got all the money, the pizza is flowing. We serve liquid pizza. We were a unique chain of pizza restaurants. We died out pretty quickly. It was sad. We all got homeless and had to live on the streets and eat pizza from wow, that went dark real quick. But yes, ever since then, I've always loved Tycoon games. I've spent more hours than I care to mention in Zoo Tycoon Dinosaur Digs, and yeah, Tycoon games are so much fun, and Game Dev Tycoon is no exception, and it's on a subject which I am really passionate about, being, you know, a games design student, and my job is covering games on YouTube. I kind of like games. Did I mention games? Yeah, Game Dev Tycoon, really, really enjoyable. Being able to name the game whatever you want, all the various random events that could happen, hiring your staff, moving from office to office, coming up with your very own games that you want to make, getting reviews from critics and the prick at Star Games, and it's just enjoyable. It's compelling. The creativity side of it, it's hard to quantify why a Tycoon game is fun. You've just got to get into it. You've got to do it. The more you go along in your playtime, the more options that become available to you. You really feel like you've made tangible progress. You really feel like you're part of an actual industry, that your company is doing something with the conventions and the research lab and making your own console and eventually making your own MMO. And it's just all good. You get to emulate what's going on around you, playing through the console eras, seeing new consoles come out, ones that you've owned, being able to make games for them. Really, I mean, I am especially partial to it because of my background, but lots of people enjoy that game. It really is fantastically fun. And yeah, one of my favourite series to make. Definitely deserves a spot on this list. I think you can agree. Game Dev Tycoon. And let's not forget to honourable mention the best game within you know what I'm saying, the best game ever made within Game Dev Tycoon, High School Japan tentacling that did really well with critics and sold millions. Any game that can do that goes on a top 10 list. I don't even. A game that was effectively, I don't want to say it, but we all know what that game was about. Sold millions. Game Dev Tycoon, everyone. Number 9. Moving on to... When one O stands on the shoulders of another O, you get an 8. Cube World, yes indeed. I had not forgotten about this little gem we played earlier in the year. Development on this game has been excruciatingly slow to say the least, in that there's been no real updates in the months and months and months since we actually played this game, but that does not detract from the sheer joy we got out of it at the time. A perfect blend of action, combat, voxel style world, creativity, equipment, spells, fun with friends. It was a really, really solid game with a promising future that just seems to have died out, but the month we spent playing Cube World was glorious. It created this atmosphere of, I want to do more, I want to go kill my bosses, I want to level up, I want to get my points, I want to find more gear, yeah, go, 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 parkouring around the mountains, gliding everywhere, using your mounts, getting your pets, finding everything, exploring. It was just great. Everything that was in the game was fantastic fun, and it just stopped. There was just no more additions. Once you'd explored everything to death, which we did in that month, and it was great, which is why it's here. Remember, my enjoyment relative to time criteria, this is what puts this at 8. It just disappeared, and we stopped playing it because there was nothing to do anymore. We'd played it to death. It inspired us to play constantly, and that's an amazing thing for a game to do. And then it just left us wanting more, and we still do. As soon as there's an update on this game, we will no doubt go back to it, but it just doesn't look like it's happening, which is the only negative. I did an in-depth half-an-hour video on the problem with Cube World Endgame, what needs to get added, what just isn't there, and why people are getting bored, which covers all of my thoughts on this, so I won't go into detail here, but really, what is there is fantastic fun. Get a group of you, go play it to death, get the most out of it, and then pop it on the shelf. That is what you need to do with Cube World, and it is so, so worth it. Such glorious fun for the time it actually remains interesting. Such a promising game, something I'll be looking out to in the future. The boss fights were even fantastic, actual skill involved with the fighting, NPCs, being able to buy things, trade, it had it all. There were a few little problems, but nothing that you couldn't ignore. Even the nighttime was really cool, having the nighttime atmospheric and everything, and the dungeons and the traps and all the various cool locations that you could delve into, find treasure in chests, slay your way through hordes. You had elite door. It was just really, it was the basis for something phenomenal, and it deserves to be remembered for that. It was great, great fun at the time. That is why it is number 8, and that is Cube World. Alright guys, it is time for It Went to Heaven. It's number 7. Tomb Raider, yes indeed. I absolutely loved this game. Now, I should probably point out that I've always got a soft spot for this game. It is a nostalgia trip for me. The very first game I ever played in my life was the very first Tomb Raider on PC. The most distinct memory I have from the early Tomb Raiders is the game where you start sliding down a slope. You can jump onto a branch at one point where there's a shotgun and a monkey. That sounds like a really weird setup for a joke. So I was sliding down a slope, and then this guy jumps onto a branch, and there's a shotgun and a monkey. What happens next? We'll find out on the next... What am I even doing? What? It was a joke, and then it became a game show, and then it became a challenge. Then it became the hero that we monkeyed, but not the monkey that we gorilla, but the chimpanzee that we orangutan, not forgetting the baboon that we lemur. A lemur's not a species of ape, but I run out of species of ape. What is another species of ape? A howler monkey? Is that a thing? That's a thing. Yes, monkey shotguns. What? Monkey shot... Tomb Raider, number 7, that's where we're up to. Awesome. So yes, being that I have always loved this series, I've played every single one, so towards the later games, I was playing them because it was Tomb Raider, and because, you know, it's always been a part of my gaming history that I will always play each Tomb Raider, out of not really a sense of duty, but just sense of a nice nostalgia, sort of a nice memory trip when I play a Lara Croft game, and I was really happy to say that it was getting a reboot. It needed a reboot, make no mistake. The Tomb Raider series was getting old. It brought us the most famous female character in all of gaming, and it was finally starting to get stale. You were doing the same things each time. It needed a reimagining, and the Tomb Raider this year gave it that. It didn't do it perfectly, but it did good enough. In fact, it did really well. Not perfectly, but it did do a really good job, enough that it was successful. There will be another game, and I, for one, can't wait for it. The actual tomb raiding aspect was downplayed a bit too much, but it was her origin story, so you kind of expect that. The actual survival aspects were virtually non-existent. It would have been cooler if you actually had to survive, properly hunt, live on the island for a while. That would be cool, but I can also see why they cut that out, because a lot of people have very short attention spans, and unfortunately it makes games have to be a constant stream of action that very few people like to break away from, and it kind of seeped into Tomb Raider a little bit. But the whole campfire system was fairly competent, exploring the island. The actual storyline, the origin story itself, was great. The grittiness was fantastic. The combat felt really fluid and awesome. The intuitive cover system was great, really smooth, didn't inhibit you in any way. There wasn't the awkward press button to go behind cover. Lara Croft always did what you would have told her to do automatically. Not automatically in the sense that, come on, you're taking the fun away from me. In the sense that it felt right. It felt like that should be happening. It added to the fluidity of the combat, the action, the fun. The combat in that game really stood out. It was really well paced and really worked really well on a mechanical level, and it looked really visceral as well. Putting an ice pick through someone's skull, always fun. You get to see the characters. The side characters really not as fleshed out as they should have been, kind of left as two-dimensional. Lara herself fleshed out loads. You see her growth through the island, which was fantastic, and that's what she needed. And yeah, you can see my rage perspective for my full thoughts on the game, but summarized, that is how I feel. And looking back, because it was many months ago I played this game, I still remember it fondly, and will probably play it again one day, especially when the second one comes out to remind me what happened. Overall, a fantastic reboot, an enjoyable experience, and definitely deserving on my top 10 list, and in place number 7. I will always enjoy the Tomb Raider series, yes indeed. Alright guys, this takes us to known to pick up sticks, it's number 6. Walking Dead Season 2. What really can I say about this game? This will probably be the shortest entry on the list. It's just a continuation of the phenomenal game series that started last year, one of the most awesome, emotional, humanized, in-depth stories told in gaming using the Walking Dead universe. It just really is fantastic. The original Walking Dead was on my list last year, and Season 2 deserves to be on my list this year. The reason it's not that high up is because, well, it is just more of the same. It's just continuing the story. It's nothing new and awesome and exciting like the original one was. That shouldn't let you take away from it. That's something that cannot be combated simply due to it being a continuation, so don't let you think that that is a negative of the game. If you like zombies, you like Walking Dead, you like epic stories told in games, well, play through the Walking Dead series. It's absolutely fantastic. You really get connected to the characters, to most of the characters. Duck and Ben will just they are what the fuck. I love making the series I do on that game. I love making fun of the stupid decisions, but at the same time being really engaged and just really caring about the character, especially now that we're playing Lee's protege, Clementine, is the main character. It's just a really nice continuation and definitely deserves its space to be here. I don't need to talk more about The Walking Dead, guys. You know how I feel about it. You know my opinion. You know how I interact with this game. So yes, this is Walking Dead Season 2. It's time for it's number 5, DayZ Standalone. This was a true Christmas miracle for this to suddenly appear on Steam. Once we heard that it was actually released, for realsies this time, we stopped what we were doing, bought it, downloaded, played long into the night, and it was the nostalgia trip of our lives. DayZ was just incredibly popular on Arma 2 that it was a mod for. We played hundreds of hours of DayZ across many different maps and variations, and it was all glorious. Finally, it went standalone with much needed improvements. Bugs have been eliminated, unnecessary clunkiness of the Arma 2 engine gone, everything works great, a lot more hardcore survival aspect, a lot more scavenging, a lot more survival. It is DayZ, but just better. DayZ 2.0, or indeed DayZ Standalone. It looks graphically better, it feels better, everything about it is just better. And the best thing, it's still brand new, with updates being applied constantly, and it just keeps getting better. Vehicles aren't even in, and we've already had some incredibly tense, awesome, and fun times. I cannot, guys, you know what I'm saying. Oh, English failure! I cannot wait to make my first standalone DayZ files. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. I've already got so much good footage, so many funny things have happened. It's just a glorious game to play in a group of friends, it really is. And finally, it's standalone in just an all-round, fantastically upgraded DayZ experience. The reason it's not higher on the list, which you might have expected it to be, is because A, is fairly new and in fairly early stages of development, and B, I've not played nearly enough of it to justify making it, you know, one of the truly best experiences that I've had this year. But it definitely does deserve to be at number 5, because already, from the limited time we've played, I can tell that this is going to be a fantastic experience next year. Once it's finally finished, polished, and released fully, DayZ Standalone is going to be one of the all-time greatest games, and I am fairly confident when I make that claim. Already, it is just so much fun, although I've been shot to death 5 times. You know, before I was making my DayZ Rage perspective, I was lying on the ground, a fresh spawn, completely new, sort of looking at my other screen while DayZ was on my left screen, alt-tabbed, but I could still see DayZ. This guy walks up to me with an assault rifle, kind of looks at me, I can imagine him quizzically cocking his head to the side, aims at me, thinks about it for a while, and then just shoots me in the fucking head. I was AFK, with no gear, fresh spot. Did he want my battery? Some things never change, War and DayZ being the 2 prime examples. So I hope you can agree that DayZ deserves place number 5 on my list. Now here is where it gets interesting. The top 4 games. 2 of them you probably can call, 2 of them you probably cannot call, but we shall see. Moving on to
Overly Epic 4!
Pokemon X and Y, a curveball to some, completely expected to others. The latest addition to the Pokemon franchise was truly spectacular. Now, before you get all judgy, like I know you're instantly doing, when a Pokemon game can make 5 20 to 22-year-old students go to the student bar during their free time and play Pokemon together, Nintendo have done something correct. What they haven't done correct, because of their retarded copyright policies, is allow me to use any footage whatsoever. But don't worry, I'll sort something out visually. What is wrong with you? I'm not even going to start on the This is not the place for a copyright discussion. Don't get me started, because I'll go on and on like Donkey Kong. What was I saying? Pokemon, that's what I was saying. Exploring the Kalos region was phenomenal. By the way, Fennekin for life. But yeah, it shook up the Pokemon series in exactly the way it needed to. Ask anyone, I have always said Pokemon needs fully 3D battling at the very least. Seeing your flamethrower appear 3 feet above the Pokemon's mouth was always something that bugged the hell out of me and broke the immersion. Now I know what you're thinking, the market it's aimed at, you know, like 12-year-olds, don't give a shit where the flamethrower comes out of, but that's not the point, okay? A lot of older people play Pokemon, most of you guys probably do, and you can agree that that shit is annoying. But I guess that's a minor thing. Kalos, X and Y has just really done great things to the Pokemon series. They've refined a lot of mechanics, made a lot of things less clunky, the grinding's less. They've not added that many new Pokemon, but every Pokemon they have added generally is fairly competent, unlike the catastrophe that some of the ones previously were. What? Who thought an ice cream for a Pokemon would be good? At least Alakazam knew what was up. He has been holding 2 spoons for 5 generations in preparation for eating Vanillux. You gotta give credit to the guy. But the Kalos region's new additions were all generally fantastic. Say what you like about the fairy type, the game did need a new type to shake up the competitive meta. Yeah, okay, that's the main thing I like about Pokemon. I love breeding Pokemon. I love breeding Pokemon. I'm that guy who sits outside the daycare watching Pokemon breed 24/7. Who is that guy and what does he do? There are so many little tropes in the Pokemon game, I love it. That's what I like. They put in loads of little things for the older player that if you pay attention and notice, you can get a lot more out of the experience. Another thing is the X and Y story is actually fairly decent. It's got a little bit of mystery to it. It's not bad at all. You can get kind of into it. It's good. A lot better than Black and White story, for example. I really do like it. Everything in this game is done right. It feels like Pokemon, but it feels fresh, and it is the best time to get back into the series if you've left Pokemon alone for a few years. Oh, good. Well, there was something else I was gonna say, and I can't remember what it was, and it's making me quite mad. Ugh. What I would like to know, guys, is all of your favourite Pokemon, because that's a discussion that needs to happen. Also, say what you like, I'm one of the people that loves Mega Evolutions. They've added a really cool dynamic, and the fact that you get to see your favourite Pokemon in badass new forms, I mean, what really could you want? Ugh. They're good. They're good. A lot of people hate them. I think they're good. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I play Pokemon because I like breeding the perfect Pokemon, perfect EV training, adding an actual way to EV train with this, with the system at the bottom screen, the Super Bowl thing, the firing of the balls. This sounds like the most horrific Pokemon thing ever. The firing of the balls! You know what I'm saying. But yeah, so many cool new mechanical things were added that just make sense and make things easier and better. But I love breeding perfect Pokemon, training their EVs, getting like 4 or 5 perfect IVs, and competitively battling, going online in the ranked. That is what appeals to me as an older Pokemon player. That is what it still offers people who are competitive, but still like to live, their childhood playing a Pokemon game. And that is what we all did at uni, competitively battling each other, properly looking up the good movesets, the good, teams to use, and it's awesome. Personally, I'd still use my 6 favorite Pokemon, but I make them as good as I can be, and that is what I get out of the Pokemon game. But yes, seeing as the Pokemon segment has gone on longer than all the others, I don't even know unless this happened. Talks for a couple minutes about DayZ, yammers on for nearly 5 about Pokemon. Rage Gaming, I'm done. I would actually be really impressed if someone did that. That would be quite amusing. But yes, guys, I'm not going to go on and on. It deserves to be here. I put like 100 hours into the save. It's a really good addition, shaking everything's up in all the right way. I'd heartily recommend it if you're at all interested in trying Pokemon again. Yes, indeed. Pokemon X and Y takes the 4th spot. Alright, guys, here we go. The big 3. Can you guess? Coming up next is easy peasy lemon 3Z. Dota 2! Now this will come as a surprise to literally no one. I know it's a little bit of a cheat because I put it on my list last year, but it officially released this year, making it a 2013 game, so fuck you guys. Nah, but seriously, you're all cool. I love Dota 2. If you had to tell me a game I could only play for the rest of my life, I would probably choose Dota 2. So you ask, why is it not number 1? Simply because I've not played it in months. Because of uni, I've been so busy, and if I'm going to play Dota 2, I'm going to play Dota 2. I'm going to be good. I'm going to put a lot of time into it. I am going to go for it. Playing it in dribs and drabs and playing poorly because of that is not something I can abide. Dota 2 is just, Dota 2 is what I care about. I care about being good at Dota 2. I love playing it, so that is what I am going to do when I get a proper amount of free time. Just go hammer and tongs in Dota 2 again, and it's going to be glorious. I don't need to tell you about Dota 2. You know all about Dota 2. I've done plenty of videos. There's plenty of information. Most of you probably played it. It is by far and away the best of its genre, and rightly so, being, well, technically Aeon of Strife was the creator, but let's be honest, it was Defense of the Ancients that, sparked the major popularity, and rightly so. It is just phenomenal. By far the highest skill ceiling. It's got the nicest aesthetics. The skills are all awesome and unique and feel powerful and weighty. The item system is deep and makes sense. The mechanics allow for incredibly skilled plays. Not any one game plays out exactly the same. It is just a glorious game. The esports aspect of it is phenomenal. Watching the TI3 was one of the most enjoyable experiences I've had all year, which sounds kind of sad, but it is a fantastic event. All of us on Skype cheering our favourite teams on like a pro. It's glorious. I love Dota 2. That game is brilliant. Valve, just all my love. It's just, they've done it such justice, and it's released, and it's the most popular game on Steam by a country mile, and it deserves to be so. It is the best competitive game I have ever played, and I don't see that ever changing for a long time. Dota 2 is fun as all hell. I love the rush of beating someone in that game. The sting of defeat really hurts, and that is a good thing. The motivation to get better, to do well, and the joy of victory is its own reward. Oh, Dota 2 is just phenomenal, and I could wax lyrical about it all day. I'm not going to go in depth. All you need to know is that I love that game. If you like competitiveness, if you like, I don't need to explain it. You're all upon this. You've either played LoL, you've played Dota, you've played Hon, you've played all the various of that genre going on, and honestly, you know what you like. There's the people who prefer LoL, the people who prefer Dota, and then the minority that prefer ones that aren't one of those two, and that's fine. Each to their own. You all have your own opinion, but I will never, ever change the position that Dota 2 is by far the superior game. In a lot of the technical, factual sense, it just is, but we could have this argument all day, and this video is not here to instill a war in the comments, so please don't turn it into that, guys. Everyone has a right to their own opinion, however wrong they may be. Alright. Dota 2 takes the third spot, which leaves number 2 and 1. You can probably guess one of them, but not the other. Alright, guys, it is time for... It's 2. It's 2. This one's 2. I've done 8 of these, okay? It's hard to think of more. Monster Hunter Free Ultimate. I love the Monster Hunter series. It is so addicting, so difficult, and so rewarding. It is the perfect blend of RPG, epic boss fights, gear crafting, compelling collection, progression, customization. It is a glorious franchise, and the latest English edition was no less epic. Monster Free Ultimate is fantastic, and I played that game to death. Hundreds of hours, got really high in the rankings, killed every monster in the game. This game. If you have not played a Monster Hunter game, do yourself justice and play it. It is like Dark Souls, but giant fuck-off monsters where you carve up their like plates and wings and create armor from it and weaponry. There's loads of different classes, from a greatsword to a lance which fires rockets. It is just the bee's knees of epic boss-like monster killing. It is glorious. The satisfaction you get when you bring down a difficult monster, it's indescribable. This game turns PvE more rewarding than most PvP games. It is that good. The AI is, for the most part, there's a few quirks, but for the most part, glorious. Bringing down that G-rank Brachiodos is like just, suck it, Brachiodos. Well, it's Brachiodos. Is it Brachiodos? Brachiodos? Whatever it is, the new slime element that explodes, the monster behind that, when you bring down the hardest version of him, in fact, the quest where you have to fight 2 at once on the highest rank, fuck that guy. He is so difficult, and when you solo that quest, you feel like the man. Any game that makes you feel just, I am God, when you finish a mission, just, I cannot describe to you how much I love Monster Hunter. Okay. I don't know what visuals will be in the background right now. It might be footage, it might be images, because obviously I can't record my DS, but I'll see. Who knows? It's exciting. Even I don't know right now. But yes, it deserves to be here in my number 2 spot. I have always loved this game. This game is number 4 in my top 10 games of all time, and the latest edition has done nothing to diminish my love of this game, adding more cool monsters, more new cool locations, new weapons, new mechanics, new gear to craft. It's just more of the same and so much better. New epic, like, boss monsters that's not just the normal things, but like full-on events, giant leviathans, sand creatures where you're riding alongside it in like a boat firing hub. It is just, Monster Hunter is great. If you like a hard game, if you like something that's quite hardcore, if you like the thrill of achievement, customization, full-on man versus beast, giant blades fighting, blocking a charging Rathalos as it like barrels past you with a great sword, knocking you, it is just exhilarating, thrilling, and just a phenomenal game. I cannot wax lyrical enough about this. If you have a DS or a PSP, pick yourself up a copy of this and just go to town. Literally, you go to town, and that's where you craft weaponry. It's just great. It really is. It by far deserves my number 2 spot. I was so excited for this, and I cannot wait for Monster Hunter 4. whenever we get an English version of that. Japan's always ahead on it, and it's really annoying. In fact, it's one of the most popular games in Japan, and for good reason. I could go on and on about what makes this game great, but just trust me on this. It's fantastic. The most rewarding experience in gaming I think I've ever had. It's close to the top, if not the top. It really is such a rewarding game. The satisfaction you get from bringing down those monsters, glorious, absolutely glorious. Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate takes my number 2 spot, which leaves number 1, which I'm sure you can guess what it is, but I won't spoil it now for those of you who still don't know. Alright, here we go. It's... oh my god, I'm excited. Oh, it's one, guys, it's time for 1, yes! Hearthstone Heroes of Warcraft. This should be no surprise to you guys. I absolutely love this game. It is like crack. People think World of Warcraft is like crack. Well, that crack is nothing compared to Hearthstone's crack. That's the crackiest of the crack. I'm gonna stop saying crack now because it's weirding me out. I love Hearthstone. It just scratches my such a gamer itch that I have, that just in just the right way. That sounds... in fact, this entire introduction as to why Hearthstone is number 1 has just been very weird. I love theory crafting. That's the easiest way to see it. I theory craft everything. Every game I play, I theory craft. Figure out the best way to do things, the best way to be competitive. Even in single player games, I cannot help it. I love theory crafting. I love being optimum. I love being good at things. I just, and Hearthstone gives me that so much. It's why I've always loved Yu-Gi-Oh! Even to this day. Thousands of cards, thousands of combinations, unique ways to do things. Look at all the pieces to a puzzle. Choose the correct ones, combine them together. Use your logic to get the best deck, which has the highest consistency and the coolest combinations and the best synergy. And it's just, I love that stuff so much. I cannot tell you how much I enjoy theory crafting, and Hearthstone gives me that in spades. But it's not just that, and it's not just the fact it's in its infancy, with thousands of cards probably will end up being added over the course of its lifetime, probably new classes and new modes, forever making more pieces to the puzzle, more things for me to look at, more things for me to compare, synergize, put together, make unique decks. It's good. I never get deck lists, I never copy people's decks, I make my own decks, and I'm ranked 6 with a 12-win arena run. I'm doing pretty well in Hearthstone. I really want to go for it in Hearthstone. I want to be the best. Card games are something I can do. They fit my personality. They fit my playstyle. They fit what I like to do in gaming. And I am going to try my best to make it in Hearthstone. I want to be a really good Hearthstone player. I really do. And I am trying my best to make that happen because it just, I love that game and I love what it allows me to do. But it's not just that. I could wax lyrical for ages about how it allows me to be the kind of competitive person that I am, outsmarting my opponent, not with reaction time, not with trigger fingers, not with a long drawn out plan or some cheesy strategy that you get in like StarCraft or like APM, just pure battles of logic planning like chess. Just like chess is the best way. That is how I like competing with someone. Pure brain versus brain. I don't care what impression that gives you of me. That is how I like to compete in a game. And that is why Hearthstone appeals to me so damn much. And it does that so well. And I would recommend it if you're at all competitive and at all like to theory craft. But that said, 2 minutes on why I like to theory craft. Rage Gaming cannot get to the point and if his life depends on it. But that said, the rest of Hearthstone is phenomenal. It's so polished. It just oozes polish from the box that opens to reveal your cards, how everything works, picking classes, playing cards on the board. It feels physical, even though it's a virtual game. The minions slamming into each other. The fact that they've taken one of my favorite universes and made it into one of my favorite ways of playing card games is just, it appeals to me so much. And the voice acting, I love good voice acting. I am a sucker for good voice acting, and the voice acting in Hearthstone is great. Adds so much flavour to the game. The little additions like the flavour text on each card, the golden cards, I love me getting some swag. Opening packs, that is addictive. It feels great to turn those cards, bust open the packs. They have done a great job polishing this game. Everything oozes class, and it just, well, I won't say class, but polish. I just don't want to say the same phrase again. But there we go, I did anyway. It just works, it feels good, it is a smooth customer, is Hearthstone. And I would recommend getting into it if you're at all interested in Warcraft, card games, or just seeing what the hype about, because it is not unjustified. That said, after 4 minutes of glowing praise, there are issues with the game, and mainly in the balance. Not the actual balance of the game, but how Blizzard are approaching balancing. You can't balance a CCG like Blizzard are balancing, okay? Firstly, I'll get the minor grievance out of the way of the game. The bugs are annoying, but it's a beta, and you can't really complain about bugs, but they are annoying. And there are a few cards that downright should not be in the game or should be changed because they are just broken. Pyroblast, I'm looking at you. Mind Control was broken, but they fixed that. But there are a few cards that are downright just too powerful. Sylvanas, everyone has Sylvanas in their deck, rank 6+. Everyone. You can't have a card game where everyone has the same card in their deck. That does not work. In fact, having the tiered rarity of cards is a really nice idea as well, because it fits with the Warcraft universe. But yes, apart from minor grievances like that, Blizzard, the main grievance I have is Blizzard are balancing the game wrong. You don't balance a card game by nerfing what is good. You balance a card game by buffing what is weak. That way you allow for new strategies to emerge, new decks to come to the fore, and new theory crafting options to actually happen. All that happens at the moment is a deck is found which is brilliant. Blizzard make it bad. So a new deck rises which is brilliant. Blizzard make it bad. You see where I'm going with this? It's a vicious cycle of good becomes bad, good becomes bad, good becomes bad. How do you stop that? Well, you leave the good good, but you make the bad better so people can make new interesting combinations. A card game needs bad cards. That is a fact. Without bad cards, you can't have good cards. And the real joy is when you find a bad card that when used in a certain way or with a certain deck or with certain synergies becomes a great card. You build a deck around that. It's your own unique deck. You surprise someone with how you've managed to use a card, such as when everyone thought Circle of Healing wasn't that good. Suddenly could put it with the Injured Blade Master on a priest. It's a really powerful opening move. That was a common example. That got figured out quite early on, but it's just little things like that. Looking at two cards and seeing an interaction that no one else has noticed before, that is how a card game evolves, and that is how it needs to be balanced, not just taking the best deck and making it weak. Guaranteed Sylvanas will be nerfed because everyone uses Sylvanas, but that is wrong. Potential counters to Sylvanas need to be explored and potentially buffed. That is how a card game evolves, and Blizzard haven't seemed to quite grasp that. They're balancing like they do WoW, making the powerful classes weaker, which just make the second powerfulest class now the powerfulest class, and the cycle repeats. I could go on about how you should technically balance a card game, but I have talked about Hearthstone for 7 minutes now, and I think you've got the bloody point, okay? I might do a specific video talking about properly my thoughts and feelings of Hearthstone, but there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is my top 10 games. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What would your favourite games for the year be? Let me know. I love reading the comments on videos like this. I love entering the discussion, and I want you guys to discuss each other, my choices, your choices, how you would have done this, and I'd love to know what you think of the video. I've tried to be a lot more professional in how I've edited this one, what I've talked about and everything, and I'd love to know how that's come off with you guys. Let me know. I'll appreciate your feedback tons. Yes, indeed. Please can have a like for this video. It took me like 15 hours to make that. I'm not even joking, okay? Seriously. I just want a hug at the end of it. A hug and a like. That's all I ask for New Year's. Oh, God. Alright, guys. I hope you have a lovely New Year's Eve. And I hope you're in a fun place when you're counting that 10 down to 9. And if you're not watching this on New Year's Eve day, well, that's just awkward, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway. My name has been Rage. Please remember to like if you enjoyed this episode. I will see you all next time. Goodbye.